normally when we listen to a story, we sit down. So go ahead and be seated as we hear the story of how things got started.
Our reading today is from Genesis 1 and 2. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. While a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be a dome in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." So God made the dome and separated the waters that were under the dome from the waters that were above the dome. And it was so. God called the dome sky. And there was evening, and there was morning, the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the sky be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called the seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth put forth vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit with the seed in it." And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed of every kind, and trees of every kind bearing fruit with the seed in it. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them be signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. And let there be lights in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth." And it was so. God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. God set them in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the dome of the sky." So God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves, of every kind, with which the waters swarm, and every winged bird of every kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures of every kind, cattle and creeping things, and wild animals of the earth of every kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals of the earth of every kind, and the cattle of every kind, and everything that creeps upon the ground of every kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all their multitude. And on the seventh day, God finished the work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all the work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because on it God rested from all the work that he had done in creation. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created. Word of God, word of life.
Praise be to God.
In the name of our Lord, amen. So you come in to a movie. You've watched the silly and often inane advertisements that have happened at the beginning that flash up, which really are only there to get your eyes accustomed to the darker situation. You've seen something flash up that says, please turn off your cell phones, because the people that you've seen nailed to the walls out in the hallway were those that were nailed there by the people that caught others in the midst of the movie. And all of a sudden, the theater darkens. The curtain pulls back, and the grand story begins. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in a galaxy not too far away, in Genesis, in the beginning there was a formless void. In the beginning there was chaos. In the beginning there was chaos, and the Spirit of God hovered over the top of that chaos. Chaos and darkness. In Hebrew, tohu ra bohu. You almost need a Darth Vader voice to be able to say it correctly. Tohu ra bohu. Chaos and darkness. In fact, say it with me. Tohu ra bohu. And in the midst of that swirling gray nothingness called tohu ra bohu, God said, this is not good. Light, be over there. And darkness, be over there. And dry land, and sea, and air. Let there be stars, and moon, and sun, to give us some kind of a sense of what we're about. So that we know, in general terms, what the season is that we're dealing with. We know what time of day it is. In the midst of tohu rabohu. And God puts all of these things together. And he creates the fish to swarm in the seas. And birds, flying things to fly through the air. And he creates the woolly beasties, the sheepsies, and the cows, and the pigs, and the deer to roam across the land. And God looked at everything that God had created, and God said one word. God said, Tov. Tov. But there was no one to hear God say Tov. It's kind of like the perpetual question about the bear in the woods or the tree that falls. There was no one to hear God say that word, Tov. The sheep maybe heard it. They heard God say Tov, and they went, bah. And God said, no, Tov. It's good, not bad. And so then God created us. The pinnacle of God's creation, to help out, to work with God in this whole thing, to till the soil, to take care of the animals, and I think most of all, to hear God say, it is good. It's good. It is tov. I've told the story many times, but it is so good. It really just completely changed my whole perspective on life. Because in seminary, I was lucky enough that when we had Old Testament in seminary, we were being taught by a rabbi. Radical idea. What a concept. We were being taught by a rabbi, and he was talking to us about this creation story. Rabbi Perlmutter, may he be ever blessed. And Rabbi Perlmutter was talking to us, and he always used to call us his little lambs. I like that. He'd look out upon all of these fresh-faced Lutheran students, and he'd say, oh, you poor little lambs. You just don't understand. You don't understand what we're dealing with, because God looks upon all of the pieces of creation, and God says, tov. And what do you poor, simple-minded little seminarians think when you hear that? You think, good. Good. He says, a biscuit is good. Casserole is good. Most of the time. That's kind of why they say that pastors are the ones who go at the last of the line during a potluck, because we kind of watch to see. And if anybody, has already taken a few bites of casserole and they're not looking so good over, then we say, okay, not good. And we kind of skip that one. But no, God looks upon things, said Rabbi Perlmutter, and God says, it's good. But he doesn't just say good, he says tov. And he said, what a poor translation. He says tov means the highest of all excitement. Good, tov, means to be beside yourself with joy. Wow! No wonder God wanted to share it. It's no fun. How many of you, when you were kids, opened up your Christmas presents in secret beforehand? No fun in that. Because it's something that has to be kind of shared. Rabbi Perlmutter said, probably the best translation of the word tov for nowadays, he said, would be tickled pink. How sweet is that? Tickled pink. You see, that is so different than the way we often tend to think. Because in the 2,000 to 3,000 years that have happened between the time when the Bible was written, between when Jesus kind of came on the scene and tried to get the story straight, we've kind of messed things up a little bit. We tend to think of creation, and there's even parts of Christianity that will say that creation is under the rule of the devil. What the heck happened? And how did that? Because we kind of created this dualistic world where God was up in heaven and we're kind of stuck here where things are less than perfect. Robert Fulghum. Because a lot of the big split came with creation and our understanding of creation, and that creation is tov. The biggest part that we lost was during the Middle Ages. Historians here. David, you're kind of a historian. Where's David? Raise your hand. Oh, there you are. The Middle Ages. What was the other name that we gave to the Middle Ages?
The Dark Ages.
The Dark Ages. And I gotta tell you, we kind of do this. It's not always global warming and things, but we do kind of tend to do like this. Things were pretty good during the Roman times, and then it all went to hell in a handbasket, and most of it was caused by us, the barbarians, who came across. I love this is so good. The Romans had a wall. They had a lot of walls. Guess what? We came in anyway. some degree. Well, we kind of created some tohu bohu. We created chaos, which Norwegians and Swedes and Germans are kind of good at doing. Let's mix things up a little bit. Let's kind of, and the Middle Ages were called the Dark Ages because they were kind of dark. People forgot how to learn how to read. And Robert Fulton has this wonderful little story where he tries to imagine what it would have been like to be him 1,000 years ago. First of all, how many people here 1,000 years ago were nobility? Maybe? Peasants? Come on, folks. Peasants! Own your peasantness. And so we were all living in these huts that leaked with mud floors. And Robert Fulton says, imagine me, April 992, 1,000 years ago, the 10th century, a century in the middle of what modern historians call the Dark Ages. Likely I would have spent the night sleeping on a floor in filthy straw, wrapped in a lice-ridden cloak, in the same room with my wife, 9 children, 3 brothers, 1 sister, my mother-in-law, no wonder they called it dark, my great aunt, and several orphan children. I lived in a connected series of mud and wattle huts, also shared at night with 2 cows, 2 pigs, some ducks, chickens, and several dogs. I have been awakened by a chicken that is picking the lice out of my hair. And after breakfast of hard, stale, dirt-colored bread and gray gruel, I will go out in the same clothes that I slept in to fields of the Lord of the Domain and push a border plow all day and night, raining all day. And my thoughts are not particularly noble. When do I eat? I think I'll kick the chicken. It's raining again. I'm sick and tired. I know. Let's eat the chicken. You see, life was kind of grim. A lot of it was of our own making, but life was still kind of grim. And so dreaming of something better became our all-consuming passion. Dreaming of something better because creation itself seemed like kind of a mess. But we held on to those images. We forgot to kind of grow up and change. And we also forgot to read the Bible. And to read the Bible and recognize that God really did create everything to work right. Here's the kicker. We translated that first line of the Bible wrong. Oh no. Thank you, Luther. Translated the Bible from Latin into German, but you forgot the Hebrew. Because that first line of the Bible doesn't say, in the beginning God created. No. In the beginning, God began creating, is exactly what the Hebrew says. So you see, folks, God's not done yet. Tohu ra bohu. A friend of mine that lives back in Bellevue, Innovator, grew up in Leipzig, and she said, when we were doing Bible study, and she heard that word, she said, oh my goodness, I'm hearing a word for the first time since I was 4 years old. Because my dad in Leipzig, whenever I was totally out of control, and you ever get that feeling? Just kind of, sometimes you're sitting really still, or you're in the third quarter of a Cougar football game, and you're just feeling like, wake up down there, do something. And she said, kind of build up and build up and build up, and then pretty soon she would just go crazy, and she would run around the house, and she would create all kinds of turmoil and mess, and her dad would come walking in, and he'd say, Tohu Rabohu. Oh. God has done is put us in the middle of all of this and said, let's do this together. Do we still have tohu rabohu? Talk to the people in Florida right now. Yeah. And they may call her Irma, the hurricane, but that swirling mass, I think, looks like tohu rabohu. Look at Washington, D.C. What name shall we give? Not one to be said in church. Tohu rabohu. Darkness and chaos. Think about what is often swirling in your own life, swirling inside of you. And as this story begins, God says, this is not just a story. This is our story. And the creation continues. Every morning, a new day. Every morning, new creation. And as you go through that day, sometimes tohu rabohu is going to come at you from left field. But more often than not, it'll come rolling from in here. And as we enter into the story, we'll have a choice. Because sometimes, let's be honest, it's kind of fun, isn't it? To create tohu rabohu in someone else's life. And God says, no, it's not good. Be part of this positive creation, of taking care of creation, of taking care of one another, of working together so that we can all